Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. My name is Warren Davis, and we're here on a bright Monday. It is the 15th of March, 2021, 5 o'clock p.m., and we're here to get your questions answered. Hope all of you are doing well and that you had a good weekend. And just want to let you know by way of announcements, first of all, before we even get into that, hopefully you can see my screen, the LPG deal flow. I just always check this just in case there are a few of you out there that don't have sound. Obviously, if you don't have sound, you probably aren't hearing me, but hopefully you have sound and you can see my screen. It says LPG deal flow and you can hear my voice. That is very good. Thank you so much, Dennis. I appreciate that. So we just want to say welcome to everybody. We're so glad that you're here. And by way of announcements, before we get into our instruction for this evening, we wanted to make sure that you know about the 2.5-day Maximizer Workshop. That's going to be starting on March 30th. And just so that you all know, even on our call today, there are probably going to be some, brand new beginners. There's also going to be some folks that have been on, working with LPG and been in the Investment Dominator for quite a while. So we welcome all of you. Just want to let you know those are several different mindsets that are on the class or on the call today. So if you would please be patient as we try to get all of the questions answered. We're going to first start out with what we call the big three, as you all know. For on Mondays we try to cover the big three, which are mainly for our beginners. And in order to send me your questions, if you would, and use your control box that you can see on my screen, type in your question, and I would hopefully you can put in a Q for the to celebrate or just to signify question as opposed to just making a comment, so I can distinguish either a Q and a colon and a question and then state your question, or you can put in the word question and state your question. Or some people just put in a question mark and then they'll state the question, so I can then distinguish between questions and comments. That's very much appreciated on my end. So in the interest of time, so we can expedite our process here, we're going to get right on into our Investment Dominator, what we call the big three. And we'd like to have you have the big three set up in your Investment Dominator so that you're ready to do business, sending out your neutral letters, any letters in prospect status, or prior to you coming to the workshop for this upcoming workshop on the 30th, and then it'll be 30th and 31st, and then the 1st of April is what it will span. So it's a 2.5-day workshop, and we'll get all of your questions as soon as possible. Hopefully by the time we're done with the explanation, there'll be very little or no confusion, but then we'll handle your questions around the big three items, being one of them being your websites. The first of the big three that we want to cover this evening is your profile. And we have in here, I'll make sure I see who's on with us today. Okay. Okay, so we do have some questions coming in, which we will answer as soon as possible when we are completed here with going over the big three. The first of the big three, as I stated, was the profile. And this is a personal profile. We want you to put in your first name, your last name, a personal email address, and want you to know that this will not be sent out to customers or sent out for any marketing purposes. This is mainly so that the office will know, if we were to look at your account, we would know which email we can send information to that's pertinent for your account or for you personally. We also want to know which phone number we can contact you at. So we'd like it to be a personal phone number. It can be a cell phone or it can be a landline, but it should come direct to you. Secondly, we also want your time zone so that we know when to call you, and then we're not going to call you at some ridiculous hour of the evening. So I'd appreciate you putting in your time zone. The most important aspects of this profile is your signature. We want you to put in a signature. Now you're welcome to upload a signature if you have one on your computer. And we'll go through that real quick just so you can see the uploading of your signature. And if you have one on your computer, some folks want to use their own signature, like I have one here. I personally don't want to use this one, but if you have one that you really like, you can have it in a JPEG file and you can just double click and it will be brought immediately to this crop your photo. So all I did was double click on that signature file and it's going to ask me to crop my photo. And so this is what honestly some folks object to about this system or this particular aspect of the pulling in a signature that's on your computer is because a lot of times their signature is too long and the cropping doesn't work. It won't fit all of their signatures. So it fits mine here. So then you can scroll down and just say confirm, and Investment Dominator will bring that into your system. Want to make sure that want to make sure that you can see once it brings it in, Investment Dominator will only keep one signature at a time. So it's one signature per profile. So obviously, if you have a partner in the business, you want them to have their own user profile. So associated with my account up here, this is my unique account number. You can have multiple users. You can have up to 10 users. So you'd have to add them as user and they would then have their own signature. So now if I hit update here, Investment Dominator is going to save this signature in my computer. So this is the one that's going to print out all the time out of the Investment Dominator whenever it needs to pull a signature. You can also change your password on the profile screen. You can also enable or disable that tour that pops up. Every time you log in, there's a tour that pops up. If you don't want that enabled, just say no and hit update, and Investment Dominator will not display that. So in this case, I have my signature brought in. Now, if I want to generate a signature, because I don't have one on the computer for my own self, I can just hit left click on generate signature. You come in and type in your name. And so one of the questions we get is, Warren, can we have our own font uploaded to Investment Dominator? Unfortunately, you can't. You have to select a font from one of these 7. I believe there's 7 selections here. Hopefully, you'll find one that meets your fancy. And if so, go ahead and select that font. You can play around with it, as you can see, and decide, how you want your name to look. All right, and we recommend that you leave it black and white. That's how it's defaulted. But if you want color, you can left click on this black color bar. I'm just left clicking here. It brings up a color spectrum for you to slide the bar across to whatever colors you desire that fit, what you're trying to portray in your color. Once you slide it to a certain portion, you see these different shades. Just simply select by left clicking anywhere where you want that shade to appear. As you can see, I can left click different locations. And once this color circle is populated, that's the color your signature is going to be. Now, in order to get my signature to change, I have to left click outside of the signature, and there it is. And then I'm just simply going to say insert signature. Investment Dominator now is going to stage this signature to replace this signature I imported here. So if I hit update, that now becomes my signature. So it's just that simple to either upload a signature or generate a signature. That's big 3 number 1 that we'd like to have you complete. Don't worry about this. This recording. This is recording this session tonight, but I will show you at the end of our big 3 presentation how you can look at this, how you can access the big 3 presentation even tonight. If you want to go back and look at some videos of all the big 3 that we went through tonight. Okay. The second of the big 3, under customize. We want you to go into company information. And I'm going to bring up another account here so I can demonstrate this with a little more accuracy. So as I log in here, under Customize, under your company information. Okay, and we're going to get to all of your questions right after we're finished here. Under company information, so you're under Customize menu, and then you select company information. Now this is number 2 of the big 3. I want you to set up your company information. That entails or includes putting an email address, a company email address, where all of your correspondence for your company will go to. You can just use one email address, although Investment Dominator does allow you to use multiple email addresses, but you can use one here, and as long as you have one set up, all of your company correspondence will successfully go to that email address. We next want you to have a company name. Here you can see my company name being XYZ. Okay, didn't want to do that. XYZ company. But if you don't have a company name, no need to be concerned about that. You can use, instead of a company name, you can just say D.B.A. or doing business as. D.B.A. It's an acronym, doing business as, and just state your name. And that can also suffice for a company name in the interim until you establish an LLC. We're hoping that you establish an LLC or some other corporate entity. It can be corporation or incorporated, whichever you choose. But for right now, if you don't have a company name, you can say D.B.A. and your name. That does work. And then for company address, we do want you to have an address, any address other than your home address. Please do not put your home address into the system, because this will print out on documents that go out of Investment Dominator. And we get asked, okay, well, Warren, why can't I put my company address being my home address, because that's where I'm going to be working? Well, we don't want sellers or buyers to know exactly where you live. They can get silly, and we don't want them sending you anything or coming by your house for any reason. So we want you to put the address of the UPS store that holds your PO box. And by the way, we do not want you to use PO box and then some number, right? This doesn't come across as professional in our land business, and it doesn't increase your open rate at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of folks will discard a letter when it has PO box on it and some PO box. So please don't put that on there. We want you to put the address of the UPS store or the mailbox, etc., that has your PO box there. And then of course the city, state, and the zip. That is your company address at that time. Okay. And so now we've talked about your email address and your company name. Let's work now with your phones, your different phones. There are 3 phone numbers represented. There's a company phone represented here, an offer phone represented, and a selling site phone. I'm going to start with the first 2. So there's 3 phones represented, but you don't need 3 separate phones unless you just so desire. The company phone and the offer phone. We'll start with those because these are sellers of property, people that are selling you their property. When Investment Dominator pulls your company phone for like your neutral letter, that's first communication that goes out of Investment Dominator, it's going to pull from your company phone, sending it to your seller. Once you have had a response from your seller, you will go into action and you will create an offer for that seller's property. When you print out the offer phone number will print out on all of those offers that go out of Investment Dominator. So again, these are sellers of property, the company phone and the offer phone. So we're going to recommend a service. This is only recommendation. It's not the only game in town, so you have selections, but this is just a recommendation for our discussion here this evening. going to recommend a company called Ring Central. Ring Central for your company phone will allow you to have one phone number and multiple extensions, extension 1 and extension 2. You'll notice that my company phone and offer phone are the same phone number. So they issue you one phone number and 2 extensions. Now, once this is set up in your system, you'll have a voicemail. It will be your voice that will come on and say, "Hello, this is Warren Davis, XYZ Company. Sorry, I can't take your call in person. Please press extension 1 if you wish to sell us your property." That means they received a neutral letter, and now they're responding back saying, "Hey, I'd like to have an offer on my property." If they press extension 1, you can forward that to a company called Pat Live or Smith AI. These are call centers. So it's a person that is set up to answer your calls for your account 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Now, Pat Live or Smith AI, they're call centers. Ring Central is a phone system. So Ring Central has nothing to do with Pat Live. These are 2 separate organizations. Ring Central has nothing to do with Smith AI, 2 separate organizations. So you'll have to have an account with Ring Central, and you'll have to have a separate account with Pat Live. That's another question we get. They're not the same companies. So once you ring the Ring Central number, they hit extension 1, that phone call gets forwarded to Pat Live or Smith AI, or it can be forwarded to a cell phone of your choice. It doesn't have to be a call center. If you want to take your own neutral letter calls, you're more than welcome to do so. So it can also be forwarded to your phone number. It can be forwarded to a Google Voice number. Your same recording will say, "Press extension 1 if you wish to sell us your land. Press extension 2 if we sent you an offer and you wish to accept that offer or discuss that offer." Extension 2 is set up for people that have a real interest, and now they want an offer on their property. You've sent them an offer, and now they actually want to possibly accept your offer. That's what extension 2 is for. That can be forwarded to a Google Voice number. It can be forwarded to a Skype number. It can be forwarded to another cell phone. Again, same Ring Central number, multiple extensions. Again, company phone and offer phone are sellers, people selling you their property. The selling site phone, this is your third phone represented. These are your buyers of property, people that are buying property that you already have under contract. Someone has responded and said, "Hey, I accept your offer. So now you can sell or market this property." That's that's going to go on your selling site phone. Okay. Let's see. Oh boy. One moment. Oh, got something in my throat there, and do not have any drink around here. So, okay, let me see if I can continue here. So your selling site phone. This is your third phone represented. Buyers of property. Now, we recommend that this phone number be a separate phone altogether from your sellers, your phone for sellers, because these are your buyers of property. And we recommend a phone number be completely separate or a completely separate cell phone if you have one available. Very inexpensive. It doesn't have to be a smartphone. We have a black cell phone that all it gets is unlimited talk and texting, because the only time that phone rings is when someone is interested in purchasing property that we have under contract. So I call that my money phone, this selling site phone. It will also appear on your selling site. Okay, so that's your phone system. And if I were to draw a diagram, it would look something like this. Again, this is Ring Central, but this is not the only game in town. You can use another company like Grasshopper. Grasshopper.com is another. They'll do the same thing. They'll set you up with one phone number and multiple extensions. All right. There's also a company called 8x8. The number 8 times 8. That is another 8x8.com will do the same thing for you. But we're recommending RingCentral because that's what most of our students use, and we're very familiar with how they work. So they're going to give you one phone number, two extensions. Extension 1, as I stated, would be forwarded to Pat Live, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they take your calls. Extension number 2 can be forwarded to your cell phone or a Google Voice or a Skype number, whatever you choose. Now this other, they do have the capability to give you a second local number, which could be set up and dedicated to your buyers of property for your selling site. So if you remember what I just showed you, in company information, you have one phone number, two extensions for your sellers of property, and then you have a separate selling site phone. This would be consistent with that second phone that I just showed you. Okay. Local number 2. Now this entire configuration here, if you were to just get one phone number, two extensions, it should run you right around $32 a month. Hopefully they haven't gone up. They do try to upsell you. They'll sell you on this multiple users, which would add another 20 some dollars to your bill. So your bill would come out being 50 some dollars a month. You don't need that, but that's what RingCentral will try to sell you. So local number, one local number, two extensions. Does it need to be an 800 number? No, it doesn't. You can have a local phone number to Kansas City, local phone number to Texas, to, you know, Austin, Texas. We have local numbers here for Arizona. And then it can be a second local number dedicated to your buyers. So if you got this entire configuration, it should run you right around $37 a month. That's just for the phone system. That does not include Pat Live. The answering service is just for the phone system. Again, this is just one configuration that we're recommending. There are more than one in town for you, okay? Next, we'd like you to have your company time zone set up here in your company information, wherever that may be, and we'd like to have you disclose if you're a real estate agent or broker. Just answer yes, and if you are, use our disclosure that's already resident in the Investment Dominator, or you could set up your own disclosure statement. We'd also like you to either put in your social security number or your tax ID number. If you use your TIN, you know, you're obviously going to enter your tax ID number here. If you're using your social security number to identify you, and this is for tax purposes, we'd like you to put that in your tax ID number. Both of them are formatted the same. And so the question we've gotten later, okay, well, what is this for, the social security number and TIN? This has to do with your seller financing deals and setting up and doing a 1098 for all of your seller financing deals. That's a requirement now. So to further explain that, if you go up under help, search our user guide and just type in 1098. And that's going to bring you up a series of articles, how to generate a 1098 document for active loans. As I stated, this has to do with your seller financing deals. So it's an article that explains more about the 1098 and why we're requiring that now in much better terms than I can explain. So please refer to that article, 1098. And we'll go back to our big three. So that's the second of the big three, is that company information. Hopefully that's clear. And the third of the big three that I'd like to have you completed before you start doing business out of the Investment Dominator is to have your buying and selling site domains configured. Buying site and selling site under customize, website settings buying, and so website settings selling. That's where you're going to configure your buying and selling websites. What you need is a domain name. You don't need to purchase anything except a domain name. An example of a good buying site domain might be www.johnbuysland.com or www.johnbuysdirt.com, something like that. That's a good buying name. For a selling site name, it can be www.paradiselandforyou or www.choicelandforyou. Or it can be the name of your actual company, www.jbinvestments.com. That can be a good selling site domain as well. So, does it have to have the word land in your name? No, it does not. We would recommend that for your buying site, something that would have land, but it doesn't have to. Keep that in mind. It's just going to be associated with both your buying site, which looks something like this as it comes up, and your selling site domain, which when that comes up, the first page that's going to come up is your opt-in page. And this looks something like this, where the customer can enter their first and last name and their email address. So those are but you only want to buy 2 domains, right? One for your buying site, one for your selling site. I'm going to call your attention to an article that's going to show you how to configure these sites. So under help, search our user guide. I'm just going to type in the words custom domains. Now, good people, we're just recommending that you think about using GoDaddy as your domain provider. Do you have to use GoDaddy? No. We're recommending that because we have instructions specifically around GoDaddy in our documentation that is already in our Investment Dominator. And you're going to be moving the www CNAME record to the investmentdominator.com server. If you don't use GoDaddy, you must simulate the same activity whichever domain provider you choose to use. If you use Namecheap, the same thing has to happen. Their www CNAME record must be pointed to our investmentdominator.com server. We have instructions in place for GoDaddy.com. We don't have any instructions in place for Namecheap. We don't have any instructions in place for REI Black Book or any other domain provider. So for this demonstration, I'm going to demonstrate using GoDaddy as I normally do. Under GoDaddy.com, you go in, purchase a domain for $11.99. That's all you have to pay. You do not need to purchase any security, nothing else, absolutely nothing. If they try to automatically give you that, please reject that security because it will interfere with your configuration of that domain on and in Investment Dominator. So please, $11.99 for 2 domains per domain is all you have to pay. So that's going to come out to be right around $24 for your buying site and selling site domains. And I'm going to walk through with you just how you do this. Step 1, it says you want to log in to GoDaddy.com. And you want to come up with the My Products page. So sometimes you will see this young lady as you hit your login, and sometimes she's not there. I don't know exactly. They seem to change their site every so often. So today she's not there. So username, once you purchase your domains, GoDaddy will give you a username and password. So you sign in. As instructed. You sign in. It should default automatically to the My Products area. Okay, it should default. Again, they've changed their site already. So it should go to my products. If it doesn't, just come up here under the name, hit the my products, and it will list all of your domains. Because we got one that's going to expire. All the domains you purchased. We want you to scroll down. All right, so this is what this says. Once you log in, you should default to my products. If not, just go up under the name just like I did and select my products. Then you want to select manage next to the domain that you want to configure. You're going to hit this manage button. So if I want to configure Sweetland for you, I'm going to select manage. It's going to bring up the domain settings and that particular domain. And what I'm going to do next is under DNS tab, select manage zones. Okay, next step. Step 4 under DNS tabs, I'm going to select manage zones. And DNS, select manage zones. And it should bring up a search box, as it does. I'm going to begin to type in that domain. As it pops up, I select it. That's left clicking, and it will bring up that one domain for you. All right, these are in your instructions here. Selected my search box. I started to type in my domain here. As it pops up, I select it. It brings up that domain, and I'm in the records section at that point. And I want to click the pencil next to the CNAME for the www CNAME record. As it shows here, I'm going to click this pencil. Scroll down, click the pencil associated with CNAME www. That's the pencil there. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring me up a box that looks something like this. With the CNAME record, the host is going to be www. It's going to say points to the &. What I want to do here is I want to backspace out this &, and I want to type in the words investmentdominator.com, like you see here on my screen, lowercase, no spaces. The next field, instead of it saying TTL 1 hour, I want to change this to custom. So it's a drop down, and I'll just select custom. And then instead of it saying 3,600 seconds, I want to change it to 600 seconds. Once that's done, I'm going to hit save. And your www CNAME record should look like mine with investmentdominator.com, 600 seconds. Okay, so the next step in my instructions, I want to set up my forwarding. I'm going to scroll down to the forwarding section. And just for those of you that may not be aware, forwarding, what that does is when people type in your domain name, all they type in is johnbuysland.com. They do not type in the www dot. What the forwarding does, when you go to the forwarding section, you make sure that www dot and your domain name is what's executed. So you're going to hit add, and then you're going to have a chance to put in your forwarding. And all you do is change the HTTP section to say www dot and the domain name, whichever domain name, johnbuysland.com. And what it's going to do, it's going to default to permanent 301. Once you type in your www dot and domain name, it defaults to permanent 301, it defaults to forward only, defaults to update my name, server, and DNS settings. Again, I will show you where you can walk through this step by step. You can stop and start the video, and so you'll get it right the first time. Then you hit save, right? Click permanent, update my name server, and hit save. your forwarding should look something like mine. And then you're done. Now, keep in mind, you have to do this. You have to go back up again to the instructions because you're doing this first for your buying site. Scroll back up to the top, almost to the top, where you selected mana zones and select your selling site. So you have to go through this list of instructions 2 times, once for your buying site, once for your selling site. Same thing, setting up your forwarding for both your buying site and selling site. Once you're done here, you're finished on the GoDaddy side. By the way, after you hit the forwarding, after you get done with the forwarding, make sure you hit save, right, to save all your changes. Come back, do the same thing for your selling site. And now our instructions say we go back to the Investment Dominator. Now you're going to map your domain in Investment Dominator. That's going under Customize and doing your website settings buying and website settings selling. Okay, so what's that look like? Come back to Customize, website settings buying, and all you're going to say is change your domain. You want to now type in your buying site domain, like johnbuysland.com. Click yes. I've pointed my custom domain to the Investment Dominator via the www record, because we did that work on GoDaddy. Hit next. Click confirm. There's no changes here. Okay, so now it's giving us a different message. All right, let's see if I can, it's going to give me a chance to explain this one. Under your selling site, change your domain. Type in your domain. Yes, click next, confirm. All right, so they've made some changes here. What it's going to do is normally it's going to spin for about 30 seconds, and you're going to be able to secure your domain. And right now, it's not giving me a chance to perform that. Probably not on either one of these accounts. And let me try this one. So what I'm going to recommend, so that you can see this entire step-by-step process, okay, it says this domain has already been changed. I say okay. So it's not going to give me a chance to show you how to secure your domain. What Investment Dominator does with your Investment Dominator buying and selling sites, you get a free, what we call SSL certificate, which is a secure socket layer certificate. Let's see if I can bring up some type of instruction here so that this gets recorded. Here's a article on your SSL certificate. That stands for Secure Socket Layer Certificate. What it does, folks, is it puts this lock up top here. If you look at this lock, it's going to put that on your selling and your buying site. And it shows you here how you can generate that SSL certificate. And this is actually the list of steps. Click here to secure your domain. Then you come in and you'll say generate SSL. This is the list of steps here. Generate SSL. System's going to spin for a few moments, and then it should give you back a message saying your SSL certificate has been generated successfully. At this point, you're just going to click OK. And once you hit OK, you will come back to your screen here, but your domain will not be displayed here until you scroll to the bottom and hit update site. Once you hit update site, of course, it logs me out. Some days are more challenging than others. Once you hit your buying site, you hit change your domain and you come in, you hit update site. You should get the green site is updated message. and your domain will now display here as it should. For you to see this in its entirety so that it won't be confusing to you at all, I'm going to recommend you go up under Help. If you want to access this again, this entire presentation that I'm giving you right now, go up under Help, Weekly Live Q&A Training Calls, and click here to view your replays of previous live Q&A training sessions. Now, I do have up, I think this 02/22, so February 22nd, I believe, is a Monday session. Yes. So what are the Investment Dominator Big 3 requirements? There's a video over here to the right. Once you activate that video, if you scroll over using the scroll bar over to 520, I'm explaining to you about the signature and profile. If you want to understand company information and you want to go back through that, just scroll over in the video to 11 minutes, 30 seconds, and I'm explaining to you about company information. And if you want to see the domains in its entirety without any errors like we encountered today, just scroll over to 2510, and I'm explaining to you about your domains. And as I said, you can then stop this and start it as you need it, and hopefully that will answer all of your questions. Okay, very good, folks. Let me see who we have in attendance with us here. Okay, looks like I'm the only one on, so I'm going to go back and hit your questions that were asked today so that we can get those. Okay, so thank you for your patience. Dennis had asked, let's see, or Jim had said, will the workshop be an in-person event? No, Jim. This workshop is going to be done virtually. This workshop will be done virtually. It won't be done in person. We're not ready, quite ready for that yet. But virtually, we'll be doing it over Zoom, and you'll be able to ask questions, and you can see our screen. And we'll keep you posted as to when we're going to have our live Investment Dominator workshop. Okay. So Claudia said, I'm confused about where to place the domain name for each of the websites and how they are used with my company name. Okay, Claudia, your websites are not, your domains are not used with your company name. If you choose to, the only thing we did say about that was if you choose to have a selling site, if you choose to have your selling site name be your company name or have your company name in there, that's totally up to you. If your company name was, let's say, you know, CD Investments for Claudia Dill Investments, you could have www.cdinvestments.com. You could have something like that. And this domain name is going to appear for your buying site, and it's going to appear for your selling site. And basically, for your buying site, when you say change your domain, this black bar here, this is where you type in your domain for your buying site, whichever domain you've set to be your buying site. This is where you type it in one time right here. And all you do is type in whatever your buying site name is, .com, and click yes and click next. Obviously, if it's your selling site, same deal. Change your domain, type in the whatever your domain name is, .com. Click yes, click next. That's the only place you have to type that in, and then you're good to go. And again, you do not have to use your company name if you don't choose to use your company name. All right, just to make sure I get my questions down here. Domain names. And how each are they used versus your company name. Okay. Okay, hope that gives some clarity there. All right, workshop will be from 3:30, will be virtual. Yes, Rajan, this workshop is going to be virtual. We have George was asking about what is Enable Tour. Okay. Okay, so as we demonstrated earlier, if you wanted to, and you're within your profile, if you wanted to enable the tour, the enable the tour right now is set to yes. So what that does is when I log out, and I log back in, you see how this welcome to your management console, and this is your enable tour. This is your tour guide. So when I hit next, it just takes me through and it points to the major functions within Investment Dominator, tells me about my selling site. Each time I hit next, it's going to take me to a next screen so it can explain a little bit to you about that screen. And it goes through the major functionality within the Investment Dominator. So this is a tour that Investment Dominator gives you. If you want to end the tour, you can just say end tour and it'll stop carrying you through. So now you can handle your own instructions. So that's basically all the end. That's all the enable tour does, is it carries you through the functionality that you'll be dealing with in the Investment Dominator. Okay, and so again, George was asking, what if my DBA or doing business as is different than my LLC name? We expect it to be, George. Again, if you put in here, if you don't have an LLC set up and you put in here, instead of LLC, you put in here D.B.A, this is your personal name. This would be your name that goes in here. And we expect it to be different than your company name. So if it's different than your company name, that's okay. You just go ahead and put that in here. And then don't forget to hit update site. And your site gets updated. So I'm not going to do that at that point so that it doesn't mess up my system. 20. Okay. Different from company. I want to try to get all of these here. I've got just a few more minutes here. Let's see. Rajan was asking, offer phone. Why you have Google Voice Skype? Is it coming to you? No, I just have that in here. By the way, thank you. That's a good question because I want to make sure folks understand. under my customize, and in this particular example, I only put this verbiage in here, like extension 1, Pat Live, and these other instruction, just so that you can see what this phone number is to be for. The way this is normally going to look is it's just going to be a phone number in here. So yours, when you put yours in your company information, is just going to look like this. It's not going to have all of this. Extension 1, Pat Live, or Smith AI. You do not put any of this in yours. I'm only doing that so I can explain to you what each of these are for. When you get down here, all this is going to have is just a phone number. It's not going to have extension 2. So please don't put that in your instructions, okay? This is simply so that I can explain to you what each of these phone numbers are for. Okay? And when the seller does make the call to you from your offer is sent, yes, the call is going to come to you, or it's going to come to wherever you specify. Wherever you have forwarded extension 2, it's going to come to you. Okay. Next 20. Very good question. Phone. Have. Okay. All right. I hope that explains you why I put that in there. And let's see. Is it better to have an 800 numbers? No, we did mention that earlier. Yeah, you don't need to have 800 numbers here. You can have local phone numbers. That's shown in our example. Here, this can be a local number. So if you're in Texas, this can be a local Texas number. It does not have to be an 800 number. People nowadays have unlimited talk on their phones. They have unlimited talk on their home lines. So it's no need to have 800 numbers. Okay. 800 numbers. All very good questions. Okay, quite a few came in here. The Rosemary is asking, is the TIN or EIN set up? It's set up at the time you set up your LLC or your S Corp. That is when you'll get an actual tax ID number or EIN from I think it does come from the IRS, but that's the time you will receive that number, and then you'll just bring that into Investment Dominator. So, but it's set up as you set up your LLC from IRS. That is correct. Okay, let me see. I'll get some of these questions. Let's see. I want to see if I can get Dennis's question here real quick. Sorry, I had to wait so long here. 20, we got through some of the basic setup questions. Okay, Dennis was asking, can you review the documents to use when you have a sale? I know there are 2. Can you review where they are? Thanks. Okay, Dennis, the these documents are going to be found in your My LPG. So if you can log into your My LPG, mylandprofitgenerator.com, you can log in to this particular platform. So when you log in, you then want to look under your documents section. And just for the sake of this, okay, I usually don't keep that one handy, but I'm going to find out what my login is here into my LPG. And I'll show you exactly where those documents can be found. I can show you the section. You'll have to log in and locate them because there's a lot of documents in there. And right now, take me a little time. So once you log in, and Land Profit Generator goes very slow, as you can see. You want to come in, you want to find your Land Profit Generator 2.0. So now this is when you're going to do your cash sales or your seller financing loans. You come into this section and just check under these documents. Okay, as you can see, there's tons of documents, but that's what I'm under. I'm under my documents. The exact documents that I put together, one you'll see is something like this here, which has to do with sale agreements, one of 3. So that's one document that you want. Again, these are going to be in your Investment Dominator. They're going to be in your My LPG. And then the second document for the sale, the template sale agreement is going to look, I don't want you to be confused here, but it'll say something like property and deed, like you see here. And it can be for an all cash sale. We have this section here if you're doing an installment or a loan. So this is what this particular document will look like. And if you do have a coach, they can definitely give you guidance in that area, step by step, so that you can make your sales. But it's going to be in this section that you find those documents. And I believe one of them, okay, it was document 16A, sale agreement, page 1 of 3. That's one of them, document 16A. So that's what you'll be looking for in this sea of documents. I think here they are right here, document 16A, document 16B. Okay, hope that's helpful for you there to be able to find that. Let's see. Any more beginner questions? Okay. Documents for a sale. I'm sorry, I'm running short on time here. I'll have to catch some of these other, because I see there's some more questions coming in here. Yeah, there's quite a few questions coming in here. I will get to these as, let's see, I'm out of time right now, but I will get to them on Thursday for our webinar on Thursday starting 12 noon. Sorry, we ran short on time here. I want to leave this thought with you for today. Albert Einstein, this is a quote from Albert Einstein. He says, "It's not that I'm so smart. It's just that I stay with my problems longer." All right, hopefully that gives you some insight. Albert Einstein, it's not that I'm so smart. It's just that I stay with problems much longer. This particular business will come up with challenges. If you are willing to stay with them, you can overcome them and be very successful. I want you all to have a great evening and a great week. I look forward to talking with you again Thursday, 12 noon 11 o'clock, actually, it was to be 12 noon Pacific time and 3 p.m. Eastern time to get more of your questions answered. Have a great evening, folks. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye now.